Hello guys, my name is Juris, and for today's video, I'll be doing a book review. Yep, a book review. So I'll be doing a book review of Ramon Guillermo's Translation and Revolution, which is a study of Jose Rizal's Guillermo Tell. So if you're wondering what Guillermo Tell is, it's basically, as how I see it right now, it's actually Rizal's version of Wilhelm Tell. And if you're wondering what Wilhelm Tell is, it's actually Schiller's last and most famous play. And Schiller's German, so this play is of German origin. Thinking now how Rizal was able to translate a German play to our native language, to his native language at the very least, is it takes a lot of time and effort to do it, because you're trying to translate something foreign, something alien, into something close to us, into something where we can relate by using our language. So we can see here the dedication that Rizal has put into translating such a play. What Guillermo is trying to achieve here is to analyze Rizal's translation of the Wilhelm Tell as a living cultural and historical practice, and to reveal how the original German work evolved into Tagalog. To show how this evolved, however, wasn't an easy task for Rizal, obviously, because even Rizal had a hard time understanding German. And as the book goes on, there are certain words in German wherein, when Rizal tried to translate them, he had considered numerous Filipino terms for it. So yeah, that's how complicated the process became. So that's basically the book. Actually, the book is more of, you can say that it's very academic, it's very scholastic. So I would say that this book is not necessarily for the general audience there that just wanted to read something out of boredom. It's a book for the interested. Yeah, that's what I would like to say for now. Okay, so the first chapter of the study is entitled Jose Rizal's Translation of Wilhelm Tell. That's what the whole chapter actually is. It just really discusses how Dr. Jose Rizal was able to discuss, or how he was able to translate a German play into a Tagalog play. Specifically, how he was able to translate such a German language play into a Tagalog language play. What I find interesting about this chapter actually is that there are actually steps that he took in translating, which is this. There are actually 3 steps written here. And the first is, the translator must first contemplate the meaning of each individual phrase during the process of translation. That is, he considers the meaning of phrases as a whole, and not simply the words which make them up as the proper unit of translation, the meanings of which must be grasped in succession to each other. Which just really means that he is actually reading phrases, not just translating word by word, like how we do it now in translating stuff, or how we translate, for example, an English term to a Filipino term. But here, as how Rizal took it, he actually translates them in phrases, because phrases have more meaning, a more coherent meaning, in my opinion. Here, based here on the book, phrases have a more coherent, meaningful meaning, rather than just translating them word to word. In the second phase of translation, the translator looks for the corresponding expression in Tagalog for the German phrase. This second stage of translation represents the deliberate and experimental juxtaposition of 2 linguistic realities in order to find an expression in the target language, which is Tagalog, which corresponds to the original phrase, the meaning of which had already been subjected to careful interpretation in the first stage. So this, I think, is the harder part of translating, because he actually has to look for Tagalog words that correspond to a German word, or Tagalog phrases that correspond to a German phrase. The problem that I think Rizal is experiencing in this book, or what Rizal is experiencing in the process of translation, is that Tagalog language is really complex, and that there are many meanings that are attached into a single German phrase. The last phase is, during the third phase, Rizal sought to further integrate the phrase that had been identified as corresponding to the phrase in the original language into the target language. This process requires a stringent rule which states that the translator carefully avoid all Germanisms and circumlocutions in the final translation. I would say that this chapter gives a great introduction of what Rizal is actually doing. But for the next chapters, since this is a study, what the next chapter discusses is more of the methods done by Ramon Guillermo in order to give a deeper understanding of what Rizal is actually doing. For the next chapters, it will just be basically the methodology, the results and discussion, and the conclusions of the study. Since, as we can see, that chapter 1 is basically the introduction of Ramon Guillermo's study, I will now tend to focus on chapters 2 and 3, which the former is entitled Computer-Aided Discourse Analysis, and the latter, which is entitled Some Empirical Results. For Ramon Guillermo's theoretical framework, he used Heidron Gerzimich Arbogast's theory of translation and evaluation, which basically has helped him to construct ideologies, specifically comparative ideologies. Of what? Of the source text, as how the book said it, of the source text and the target text, and comparing it to the important concepts in this study. We can say that the source text is Schiller's German and the target text is Rizal's Tagalog. What these two chapters are basically saying is that Guillermo is trying to explain how computer-aided methods or how computer-aided discourse analysis was able to ensure the comparability of the source and the target, the source text and the target text, as well as ensuing the empirical results. I actually find it interesting how the book was able to distinguish the difference between coherence and cohesion, in which as it was said here, that cohesion is a property of the text and that coherence is a facet of the reader's evaluation of a text. Cohesion is objective, capable in principle of automatic recognition, while coherence is subjective and judgments concerning it may vary from reader to reader. Another thing that I also find it interesting in this book is the lexical complexity between the two texts, between the German Wilhelm Tell and the Tagalog Guillermo Tell, in which even though there are more unique words used in Wilhelm Tell, the total words used on the other hand in Guillermo Tell has more than Wilhelm Tell's play, Schiller's. Okay, so if chapters 2 and 3, Guillermo was looking into the textual cohesion of the text, chapters 4 and 5 is now more concerned in looking at the textual coherence of the text. So chapter 4 here was entitled Social Criticism and Translation Analysis, and chapter 5 was entitled Interpreting Semiotic Texts. So here in these chapters, Ramon Guillermo was trying to explain the methodological inspirations for his employment of social criticism, and he was able to describe social criticism as the effort to develop an empirical approach to the semiotics of ideology. In these chapters, he was also able to present a variety of tables, which I also find it interesting, although kind of hard to understand. But yes. So in Ramon Guillermo's sixth chapter, which was entitled The Passing of Nature, he was trying to discuss a slightly different topic compared to the other chapters, but I'd still consider related since it's focused on a certain word, German word actually. So in this chapter, he was trying to examine a particularly interesting problem in translating the German word Natur into Tagalog, and how Rizal was able to offer some solutions in order to solve such a problem. So in today's modern times, such a word or the term natur could be translated or could be easily expressed into the word kalikasan in Tagalog, because natur, nature, kalikasan, but it was absent. The term was absent under natural, naturaleza, or naturalidad in the 1889 Diccionario Tagalog Española of Pedro Serrano Lactao. But it finds its earliest occurrence, probably the first use of such a word, in 1922 in Rosendo Ignacio's Diccionario Hispano-Tagalog. So, Rizal was able to employ a variety of renditions of natur in the translation of Wilhelm Tell. In the study, Ramon Guillermo was able to at least find 6 renditions. Among of the 6 are loob, which is innermost being, pagkatao, humanity, and sangsinukuban, which is universe. So, after that, he also attempted to rigorously to account for the variety of transformations of natur in Tagalog. That is, in each rendition, Jose Rizal was able to bring out the sense that are relevant to the 19th century cultural and political world of his native tongue. In this part of Guillermo's work, we are able to see also, at the very least, his insights into the explicit act of constituting the ideology of nationalism in the Philippines. I find it interesting that such a simple word in German gave such a huge problem to Rizal, in a sense that this simple German word natur has many meanings in the Tagalog language, that Rizal has given different solutions in order to solve such a problem. He has suggested different words so that the meaning would seem fit when translated into the Tagalog language. And this just shows how dedicated Rizal is to translating such a work. So in conclusion, Ramon Guillermo's translation and revolution is quite revolutionary in a sense, because it was able to give us an idea that works of translation does not just show that our language is flexible and that we are able to transform something alien for us into something attached to us, but that it also goes to show that translating has also its ideological significance, and that it also presents scientific and empirical evidence for such a significance. Although I'd say the readers that might be interested in this book would be ethnolinguists or specialists in translation studies, historians, what else? Political scientists. I think the book would sell out more on these kinds of audiences, but for the general audience that doesn't have really an idea I don't think they'll find it that much interesting, although it's a food for thought, an eye opener. The only thing I also find hard to read I find it hard in this book is that it still uses such complex terms, although understood, because this is a study, so it means it has to be academic in style. But as I have said earlier, it is not necessarily targeted for the general audience. Yeah, it's quite a nice read, and it's a food for thought. Yeah, that ends my book review, and I hope you gain something from it. Although kind of simple, but hopefully you were able to attain some info, or at least the background of what it is. And yeah, you might want to read it as well.